He's following Swati. Over to you, Swati.
Good afternoon. So my talk is going to be a little different, changing a little gear, and I think it was by design that it was kept in the first session after lunch, probably to shake up that post-lunch inertia. So what I'm going to be talking about is our organization, 1M1B, that is 1 million for 1 billion, and I'll explain to you what that means. So the idea that started 1M1B was the question, can grassroots entrepreneurs solve the last mile challenge and the rise of the social entrepreneur? And as I said, it's a little bit of a different talk from what you've been hearing since morning. Social entrepreneurship is nothing but setting up an enterprise which solves a social aspect or a social pain point for the community that it is rooted in or based in. So why do we think that anybody would be interested in such a concept? For one, we think the government might find value in it because of the social and economic urgency for it to promote a startup, stand-up campaign, which you already are aware of. This is primarily because of the increase of 1.2% of the population, but the job scenario is abysmal, especially in the rural areas of our country. Every month, there are 1 million age-eligible people who join the workforce, and that's quite a number. And we have 9.6%, sorry, that's 9.6%, not 96%, unemployment rate. And as we are growing in companies, they are more capital intensive than labor intensive. To just give you an example, Facebook world over has about 12,000 odd employees, although it has 1.8 billion users. So that is what the scales we are talking about. Why do we think the corporates or the private sector is going to be interested in this? This increases the market share. Once the not so reachable rural market with the infrastructure that is coming about, especially with the national optic fiber network, the rural communities are getting more and more engaged, and it is but impossible to avoid them as a potential market. Local adaptation and innovation, large companies have very strong structures, which also sometimes inhibits innovation. That's why they like to work with new startups, which might help adapt or customize their products, their platforms for regional applicability. Why do we think the grassroots entrepreneurs or the community is going to be interested? Well, the very reason they come to the cities for the jobs, that is what is going to hold them. We are looking for grassroots entrepreneurs who are going to anchor and also be job engines in their communities. And especially because they're going to be engaged, they know the social issues, they know the pain point, which is going to be the core of these enterprises. 1M1B operates on two modules. One is the Smart Village Gateway and other is the Job Accelerator. In the Smart Village Gateway, we provide platforms for very focused areas, healthcare, energy, and water, being the primary aspect. And it's like a business in a box solution. And I will come to how we make that happen. Also, because there is a large lacunae of people available and those who are adequately skilled to work at these centers or be employed, we also have the skill centers with our partners providing the certification and also the jobs at the center and also in their own organizations, which might be in peri-urban or urban areas. The job accelerators are more customized for local needs, and here we also provide the skills required for this purpose. So basically what we are doing is bringing together corporate expertise and infrastructure for grassroots execution, and therefore working as rural micro accelerators. We are nearly 2 years old, and we are operating in 4 regions of the world. primarily US, in New York, Caribbean Islands, in India, 2 sites, New Delhi and Bangalore, and Vietnam. The kind of projects that we are working worldwide differ. For example, out of the many, I've chosen to highlight one to show you the diversity of the projects that we anchor. In New York, it's an enterprise by a young lady who's working for art for youth. In Caribbean Islands, agriculture, vermicompost, and agribusinesses are the focus. In New Delhi, health-based micro accelerators, we are working in Uttarakhand, which is mainly the healthcare accelerators, and also for rural craft. In Bangalore, anchoring our project in Andhra Pradesh, which is part of the Smart Village initiative by the government of Andhra Pradesh. And here our focus again is on healthcare and waste management, to name a few. So healthcare, I'm going to explain as an example of what we do and how we do it. So basically, this is how 1M1B creates an ecosystem around the enterprises it launches in its rural micro accelerators, is get the technology partners, social entrepreneurs, the organization, the healthcare industries in that area to partner and give access, goodwill partners, social organization, and of course the community participation. This is not just at the individual level, but also at organization levels. So giving you how we go forth with this is we've identified the unmet need, have a lot of meetings and interactions, awareness drives with the community, create active pipelines of stakeholders to address the need, get the partners on board, then integrate the local community in building sustainable and implementable and scalable enterprises by involving them in this venture, and finally, a local run healthcare center network with a larger district health organization with 1M1B supporting it throughout. So what do we get out of it? Well, we get out of it a self-sustaining healthcare center. What are the deliverables is the one, and a very strong aspect is the data. In India, we do not have reliable data from across the cities, let alone rural communities. So this data, which is going to be an integral part of analysis of causal analysis of what causes what disease and what can happen to prevent it. And believe me, it is very different across different regions, and this data is invaluable both for the government and for the corporates who are looking at increasing into this market. Hospital increase their reach. So we are looking at local hospitals which have so far not been able to penetrate the rural areas just surrounding its hospital by giving them IoT clinics right at the center run by local grassroots entrepreneur. We are giving them post-op, pre-op analysis, also bedside analysis of the patient's vitals. Local vendors like pharmacists, diagnostic clinics are engaged. As I was talking about the community participation, they are engaged with the center where the communities get cost advantage of being involved with the center, and they stand to economically gain as well. Also, many corporates want to know if a particular device or a product which is already in the market would work in a particular community. These clinics or these micro accelerators also help validate such processes and products. Our partners are across the board. We have knowledge partners like Berkeley Haas, Garwood Center for Corporate Innovation, Foundation for Excellence, where we are working with underserved young individuals who are becoming entrepreneurs through our micro accelerators. UN Habitat is one of our partners. Mackenzie Care Hospital is one local tertiary care hospital which we have associated with, who is also extending their health care services in Andhra. So the challenges. Now, when we start an enterprise, we always look for the ahas. Well, in our experiences, we had more of ohos, which were things which did not work. And there are, believe me, lots of them, and you would all already relate to quite a lot of that. For one, being a social entrepreneur, it is very challenging to penetrate the community mindset, which might lead to, which might be coming out of societal preferences, reluctant to be entrepreneurs, infrastructure issues, example. One other very unexpected challenge that we have as social entrepreneurs are the freebies and the charities operating in that area. Now, people always want free services, free this, free that, and they would not come to the accelerator if you have to even pay a amount as low as 20 rupees, because if they're getting it free, they would go there. But what needs to be inculcated is what is sustaining. Charities or the government support might be there, might not be there, and these people might be left high and dry. So how these micro accelerators actually help sustainable and scalable options for these is something that we have had a really big challenge to get across. My 2 cents of advice to wannabe entrepreneurs is, especially in the social entrepreneurship sector, is when building community-centric solutions, involve the stakeholders, keep them involved, keep getting better by knowing them well enough, take feedback, and engage them from the very start. If you're going to try to force fit, it's not going to work, because, as I said, each community is different. One box which works in one place does not work just as it is in another place. There has to be a local adaptation, a local flavor. Be ready to fail, and that is what is challenging. Learn from it and pivot. Have a very clear ask. Now, that is one challenge that I faced when approaching partners, collaborators, and even investors. They want to know what exactly do you want from them. And if you don't have that very clear, it's just going to be a very pleasant meeting, nothing after that. So it is very important to have a very focused view of the big picture and know what to ask whom. And that is what our entrepreneurship journey has really been. The team, as I showed, we have a global presence in 4 regions, and we have a very dynamic team. I, for one, understand technology and R&D and its implementation in different scenarios. My co-founder, who also happens to be my brother Manav, he's very adept in understanding entrepreneurship ecosystems, building ecosystem partnerships, and he can talk numbers. So it is very important, as we saw, that to have very complementary skill sets. Our other partners are regional partners who know the communities better than we do. If we have to expand, we do not expect to know everything by ourselves, and that is where regional partners help us. 1M, 1B, the long road ahead is enabling 1 million entrepreneurs in the next 4 years to impact 1 billion. It sounds really very kind of out of the box and something that is not doable, but it is. We are already operating in 4 regions in a span of less than 2 years. We are hoping to expand to 3 more countries, work with regional partners on different aspects, healthcare and agriculture, water, etc., which is specific for that area, and create local social entrepreneurs at the grassroots, who will further impact their communities. And 1M, 1B being a micro accelerator would be an engine for that. Thank you. Yes, please.
How do you ensure that the ideas that are generated in these villages can get plowed back to institutions who can actually build them up at scale and then give them back? So this is the reverse process. So there are a bunch of rural innovations that keep happening, okay, that serve those communities. How do you ensure that those things get mainstream exposure?
So one is the idea per se, and we have a lot of even entrepreneurship skill sessions with the community. And we have, like if there are 100 ideas, there would be actually very few which can be taken forward. And what our task as 1M, 1B micro accelerators in the rural communities is connecting them to the Connect network of technology and rural partners to make them happen, and the social entrepreneur drives it. and we give all the back-end support in terms of infrastructure and the technology support and making that happen. So it is not that we leave the person alone to innovate or expand or scale. It is which of these ideas can be scaled, is applicable, and whom we can connect them to so that they see the light of the day.
Hi, Swati. This is very
Hi.
interesting. But a question I had was, what's your business model? How do you sustain yourself?
Yes, so as I said, we have many technology partners. So we work both on payment as well as revenue share models. Being a micro accelerator, we also have interest in in the rural startups that happen. So that is also, we have like a percentage of scaling these and have a percentage in how they scale up further in the revenue share model.
Any other question?
Hello. Madam, I just wanted to have one query regarding on the technology part. Today, 70% and 30% is what we are talking about of the population. So 70% population is on the rural side of what we have. So whatever we come across data and all. But internet is a big challenge. So I think we are talking on the internet challenge, you know, on the IoT things, whatever you're bringing up upon. And the people who have got mobiles and all is more high density towards in the urban population, not on the rural side. So internet as a connection itself is a big challenge. So how do you address that?
Thank you for asking that question, because that is definitely a challenge worth talking about. Fortunately for us in Uttarakhand and mainly in Andhra Pradesh, we are working with the Andhra Pradesh government in the Smart Village initiative, where the focus is providing and nurturing social entrepreneurship. And as partners there, we have access to the Andhra Pradesh fiber optics network, which is recently set up. So through that, we can operate our IoT clinics. In Andhra Pradesh specifically. In India, we are operating right now in Uttarakhand as well as Andhra Pradesh.
How many social entrepreneurs are there in this, or wannabe social entrepreneurs? I think for them it's a very, very interesting story about how to go about the community building involving them.
So what I've covered is a very broad overview. I've not gone in detail about the project and the platforms and the technologies that we are working on. But definitely the government support in terms of infrastructure when it comes to working the rural communities is something which is very important.
One more question, last question. How is 1B is different from an NGO?
Yeah, we have a business model. Yeah, we
They're
have
not
a revenue
dependent on
model at the
funds.
back end. It is a micro accelerator, like how urban accelerators work. We are working in a similar mode, but at the rural level. And we are also working in connecting the giants who are willing to give access to their technology and platform, but they do not know how, or they do not have that logistics or investment to go forward and give that kind of a penetration in now a more tech-savvy rural setup. And on the other hand, we have people who want to be entrepreneurs or are job seekers in the rural community who need that opportunity. So they, you give them like business in a box or help them co-develop it so that they are very good in implementation of that as well. So they earn for themselves as well as be a job engine in their communities. So it kind of solves both issues.
Thanks, Swati. That was a very wonderful session. I hope all your
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope all your entrepreneur partners become millionaires and all your billion villagers become healthier with your approach. Thank you.